All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Angela Staunton. Thanks for being here. I know we've got Carol online. I've got Lisa here in person. It's a pretty rainy day, so who knows, maybe people will start trickling in. But I'm really happy to share with you just about kind of how we can support our students in our classroom through the use of some executive functioning skills. And so let me see if this little clicker works.
No, of course not. Is the little thing plugged in? No.
I don't know
I'm
what.
slacking off here.
No, it's okay. What thing needs to be plugged in? I always meant to buy one of these for my classroom.
Okay.
Did you ever do
I
that?
have one, you can have mine, I never use it. You can either touch the screen and it will forward, or you can touch the forward arrow on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, there you go.
All right. So my name is Angela Staunton. I'm education faculty here at Triton. I'm a mom of two teenagers who also need help with executive functioning skills. It's a lifelong skill. I've had over 25 years of experience in education. My first, half of teaching was in K through 12 schools as a special education teacher. So, Carol, if you're there, if you want to introduce yourself through the chat or through audio text, that'd be great. Lisa, if you want to just tell us, what department you're from and what you like to do outside of Triton.
I run the ophthalmology technician program, and I have 3 children, a grand puppy, 2 grandchildren. I love gardening, I love cooking.
Yep.
And I like eyes.
And you like what?
Eyes.
Eyes?
That's what I teach.
Yeah. Awesome.
One trick pony.
Yeah. I like to garden and I like to cook as well. I need to start my seeds for my vegetable garden.
Yeah, I just did it.
Do you start?
I just did it on Sunday.
Okay. I'm a little behind because I've been sick, as you can tell in my voice. Yeah. What do you plant?
Well, right now I planted a bunch of lettuce.
Okay.
But this year I'm going to try watermelon cantaloupe.
Ooh, let me know how that goes. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of lettuce do you prefer?
One was a mix, one was spinach, one was endive, and then one was butter lettuce.
Okay, yeah, so, I've done all those except the endive. I've done, now I'm drawing a blank. What is it's kind of like an Italian bitter.
Oh, the red stuff? Is it red?
No, not red leaf lettuce, like a, why can't I think of the name of it? I've done that. No, not radicchio. Gosh, whatever. It's, but yeah, I've done lettuce. I do tomatoes. Yeah, cucumbers, all that good stuff. All right, I think I hear somebody online. Tell us who you are.
Carol Arnquist from the science department.
Okay.
I retired in 2005, but I've been teaching part-time since. I teach human biology. I have a married son with 4 grandchildren. The oldest is going to be 9. I love music and I sing with the COD chorale.
Oh, wow.
So, and I actually enjoy teaching because now I have no other demands on my time. So my students are my kids.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. What classes do you teach in the science department?
Human biology.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Well, nice to meet you. Is there anyone else online? Unfortunately, I can't see right now because the slides are up, but maybe, did you say Nancy was going to maybe join us?
I can't see it now that I'm sitting.
Sure. No, don't move. But if Nancy's there, let us know. But again, we're going to have a good time just kind of diving deep into, executive functioning skills that our students really need to be successful in our classes, but then also in their own life. So basically what we're going to learn during our session today is we're going to take a executive functioning questionnaire in just a minute. We're going to learn what 12 of the major executive functioning skills are, and why those skills, in addition to some core capability skills, matter, and then how we can support our students in the classroom. So those are our main objectives. So we're going to start off with a quick entrance slip. These are kind of used in all of my classes to anchor my classes. I usually do an entrance and exit slip, just to kind of start thinking about today's topic. So if you want at home, if you could just answer these questions in your head or write them down, what do you know about executive functioning skills? And then if you've ever taught any, let us know, and have you been successful with them? And then we'll share out in just a couple minutes. So I'll just give you guys a couple minutes to think about those questions, and then we'll chat.
I know what all these are, I just didn't know that they had a proper name.
Yep. All right, so Carol or Lisa, what are some of those executive functioning skills that you're familiar with? And maybe it looks like Carol said, I seem to have ADHD kids in class, and they have trouble with executive functioning skills like planning, following through, time management. Yes, those are the biggies for sure. Thank you, Carol. Lisa, anything else?
Same thing. I mean, I am familiar with all of these. I just didn't know that they were, classified as executive functioning skills. But I would have to agree with Carol. Time management and organization and like pre-planning.
Yes.
Major.
Yes.
Even critical thinking. Like I have incorporated, every class has like 5 or 6 critical thinking assignments.
That's wonderful.
To make them start putting things into context, because it's like they can't do it.
Okay, and when there's going to be a point where we're going to share some of those things. I want to hear some of those assignments, those critical thinking assignments. Carol, thank you for your contribution through the chat. So again, executive functioning just basically refers to the mental processes that enable individuals to plan, focus, remember instructions, and then juggle those multiple tasks, just multitasking, right? And those key ones are all the ones that you guys mentioned, especially organization, time management, goal setting, emotional regulation, and even problem solving. Because it's just the two of us today, I'm not going to have you guys fill out this questionnaire, but I did include it in the chat. But this is a great thing to do on your own to kind of analyze your own executive functioning skills, but then it could be something you could give to your students. And then in this packet, there's an actual kind of checklist / kind of goal setting that they could use at the end to help them with, organizing their life and their classes. And there's the third page, I think it's, or the fourth page, also has definitions of each of the 12 executive functioning skills that both the authors have, had you kind of, grade yourself on. I kind of skipped ahead because I didn't answer number 2. Or I didn't have you guys answer number 2, which is, have you ever taught these executive functioning skills in your classes, and have they been successful? Why or why not? So let's see if Carol said anything. And it sounds like Lisa said this critical thinking skills assignment. Could you give us a little more information, maybe?
Well, because I'm in a health career, they have clinicals. And then
Yes.
according to the clinical evaluations, students weren't able to take the information they had been taught and put it together with an actual patient. So from day one, they get an assignment saying this person has conjunctivitis. What would their symptoms be? What would their visual acuity be? And it's just that. But then as they go through the program, they get a little bit more detailed.
Okay.
So
So being able to transfer those skills on site is what you're kind
yes,
of
but it's
teaching
like
them
critical.
to?
Yeah, so it's built right into both years.
Okay.
So it starts from the very beginning, and then it gets more detailed and like more large
Mm-hmm.
on a grander scale as they learn more.
Okay.
And they're horrible at it at first, but once they start thinking like that, they do get better at
They
it.
get better. Yep. Okay, Carol said not to the class, but I tried to work with separate students. Okay, wonderful. And sometimes that is what happens. We, say after class, hey, how can I help you get organized? Or maybe we'll refer them to, the tutoring program, something like that could help as well. But Carol, if you have access to that questionnaire, I included that link, but I don't want to take a lot of time because, again, there's only 2 of us. So moving right along, so here's that example of that questionnaire. But basically, you'll kind of add up all your scores, and you'll kind of see, even for yourself, where you have deficits and where you kind of come through in terms of your own executive functioning skills. And so I kind of like that because it even helps us as adults. I can't find mine, but anyway. Okay. So not only are there, these 12 executive functioning skills that are really important that our students need to be aware of, there's also something that we call core capabilities for life. And it's kind of like we need to know what sends our students off course. And we know our students have a lot of challenges. They have many jobs that they're working with. They are juggling a lot of things in their life. They might be taking care of their parents, their siblings, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a quick video that kind of allows us to understand these core capabilities.
Building core capabilities for life. Every day we take on the ordinary, sometimes challenging tasks of work, school, parenting, relationships, and just managing our busy lives. How do we navigate these tasks successfully? And what can send us off course? Science offers an explanation. We all need a set of core capabilities that we can develop with practice over time. Scientists call them executive function or self-regulation skills, and they help us to focus on what's important, to plan ahead, set goals, and meet them. They help us deal with whatever life throws at us and still keep heading where we need to go. They help us resist impulsive behaviors and change course when we need to. No one is born with executive function skills, but everyone can build them. We build them through a lifetime of making connections within and among the regions of the brain. Our brains begin life with billions of neurons, rapidly connecting to each other as we experience the world around us, making trillions of connections in just a few years.
I think we've met before.
Early simple circuits form a foundation that more complex circuits and skills build on as we grow and have new experiences. These complex circuits, built throughout childhood and reaching across vast regions of the brain, make our core capabilities possible. The more we use these connections, the stronger and faster they become. That's why practice is so important. When we are children, we practice these skills by playing games, learning teamwork, adjusting to new rules. We continue to develop these skills in adolescence by managing school and other things like work, sports, music, and relationships. When we practice executive function skills, circuits rapidly connect the prefrontal cortex to other parts of the brain. These circuits act like an air traffic control system in the brain. They manage incoming information and help us respond with intention, not on impulse. Threatening or stressful experiences activate different circuits, and those trigger automatic responses: fight, flight, or freeze. We need automatic responses for survival, but if stress is constant, these automatic fight or flight circuits become stronger and faster than our more productive intentional circuits, the ones we use for executive function and self-regulation. For anyone under stress, it's hard to call on intentional skills. If we've been experiencing serious stress from our earliest years, the stress caused by poverty, violence, or addiction, a chaotic environment, it's even harder. Under lots of stress every day, it's harder still. The key is counterbalancing those automatic responses by building up our intentional ones, by building strong executive function skills. The good news is these core capabilities can be strengthened. How? By redesigning our systems so they reduce the sources of stress in people's lives, by simplifying how services are provided to families, helping them meet basic needs and building on strengths, because small successes lead to bigger ones. With less stress, we can practice the skills we already have and build new circuits for the intentional responses we need. Stronger brain circuits are built through practice in situations that matter. That's true for children, it's true for adolescents, and it's true for adults. Helping children build skills gives them a strong foundation for all that comes later. Helping teens build their skills propels them into greater success as adults and parents. And helping adult caregivers build their core capabilities ensures success at work, stable homes, and responsive relationships for the next generation. When our communities work together to help children and adults build these skills, we create a positive cycle as one generation passes them on to the next. And that helps us all.
Okay, so let's make sure I can get back to, yep. All right, so thinking of some of the elements of this video, what were some of kind of the main takeaways on how we can kind of support, wait. Okay, let me go back. Okay, what were some of the kind of the main takeaways from this video that we just listened to?
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Exactly. I mean, I feel like I'm still working on some of these executive functioning skills to this day. And I find, for me, the more grounded I am in my peace, you know, like especially as I'm starting the week, and I'm just, you know, really making sure that I'm organized. I've got everything kind of laid out for the week, that before the week starts, and I'm at peace. I am more successful throughout the week then. You know, it's like this pre-planning in a way. But the piece also comes from, I do go to church pretty regularly. And I think that kind of also grounds me as well. Is there anything that maybe you're doing that maybe you could share with your students? Like even just sharing what we do. Sometimes we don't even have to practice it in our own classrooms, but sharing that is like a great way for them to understand. Like, here's some things that I do to help me, you know? What kind of resonated with any of you guys here in the audience or Carol online?
Well, my students many of them have children.
Yeah.
Which poses certain challenges for their ability to participate in class.
Mm-hmm.
It's not uncommon for them to get a call.
Yep.
And they have to run out, which is, of course, disruptive to everybody.
Yeah.
But there's no solution to that I know of.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be responsible parents.
Yeah. Exactly.
The one issue I really do have is that I've never had this before so much as I've had it this semester. They just roll in when they feel like it. Class is supposed to start at 9. The way I combat that is I have a warm-up activity because we can't come out and do nothing.
Exactly.
So we can all work individually and then we go through it together. But I was always thinking, okay, well, by 9:15, now it's closer to 9:30 before there are enough people there to.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You have a solution for that, and I love it.
Well, I mean,
shut the door when class
oh
starts.
yeah, you could just
There's always
shut
one
and
or
lock
two
the door.
sacrificial
Do
lambs,
you
and
lock
that's
the
it.
door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And it's one or two sacrificial lambs the first couple weeks, and then they know I mean business, and it doesn't happen.
What is it that you teach?
I'm in a health career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us where you teach again.
I teach over in adult education.
Okay.
And this particular class is actually a high-level ESL writing class.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little surprised. So they had the same class last semester, and the students were always all there at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
We did everything together and worked on it. It's really proud to have in this class.
They figure out if you give an inch, they will.
Oh yeah.
They take a mile.
Yeah.
So
I guess.
Yeah. They usually end up hating me like the first month. And I just set the rules.
Yeah.
And then.
Exactly. Well, Carol, I don't know if you caught that, but just as a follow-up, oh, that's wonderful. Both John and Lisa said she locks her door to avoid any stragglers or late comers, and then John gives that warm-up activity that's worth points. That's something I do. And I do it more intermittently because then I'm like, oh, well, you know, you're here, you're not here, you know, just we'll see what happens. But I'll have some kids, the class starts at 11, they come in at 11:30. And they're coming in with stuff from the cafeteria. And I'm like,
Yes.
Oh, did you bring some for us? Okay, go ahead, Carol.
Oh, I had a student that came in 45 minutes late every class with something from the cafeteria. You know, and I think she's ADD, but she's not classified by the school. She hasn't filed papers. And but toward the end of the course, she said her mind was like on a hamster wheel. You know, she didn't use those words. So one of the teachers in our department has a routine where the first thing she does at the beginning of the class is give a short quiz. And they know it's their job to come in, open their computer, and take it. And then, you know, it's time sensitive, and if they're not there, they don't get credit. But the kids with ADD sometimes still cannot manage that because they don't they have time blindness, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And
then unless they have the accommodations, yeah.
And so then they're getting penalized for something that really is not their fault. They have a differently wired brain. So,
Oh, sure.
yeah, sometimes I do give quizzes, particularly if they're not paying attention. But I had a question here for you that's related. I had a student who would blurt out, I mean, just, I'd be lecturing, and this was a higher level course,
Uh-huh.
and it was 150. And so I talked to him privately, and he said, yes. I said, you interrupted train of thought. I says, I'll answer your questions or let you comment after I finish or somebody else finishes. But no matter how I dealt with him, he still kept doing this. And then the fact that I wouldn't let him just blurt out his thoughts or his questions affected how he thought of the class and turned him off. And I don't know how I could have handled it otherwise, because he would interrupt you'd be talking about your PowerPoint, a particular thing, and he wanted to ask that question right then and there,
Yes.
right in the middle of that, not waiting till you even took a breath. So what do you do?
I have an idea for you, because I've had students like this. And it may not always work, but you could try. I would tell that student, write all the questions or comments that you have down first. And then, maybe at halfway in the middle of the class, or even wait till the end. If I haven't answered those questions, then you can ask me those questions.
Oh, okay.
That could be a little tip or trick.
Yeah, because it really interfering with the flow of the class.
Yes, that would affect me too, as I'm lecturing. Any other ideas, my people here in the audience? Yeah.
What did you say?
I've done that before.
She's done that. Have them write it down.
Sounds like that's a good
Yeah.
solution.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's a great question. All right, so here are those 4 core capabilities: planning, self-control, focus, that awareness and flexibility. Here are kind of basically this is just an overview of that video. What is it that's derailing that? And it's any kind of, childhood trauma or current trauma that's happening. Just living in a chaotic environment. If you don't have order and routines in your house, well, then you're not going to be able to transfer those skills into the classroom and be able to, meet deadlines and all those things as well. And then, maybe you're just really, addicted to your phone, addicted to food or drugs or alcohol, and that's going to obviously limit our executive functioning skills as well. And then just living in poverty overall can affect us. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've read journal entries or discussion questions, in my online classes, where students just didn't even know, like, if she was going to have a place to live the next day. And she's telling me how her apartment was 30 degrees and she had to go to bed with 5 blankets over her. I mean, these kids are in dire straits right now. And so we can employ a little bit of flexibility with some deadlines if they're forthcoming with us, but we still have to, make them understand that, we're trying to teach them what it's like. You have to be successful here, because that's going to help you later on when you're successful in your career. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold. Okay. So, kind of just in addition to the core capabilities and kind of what affects us. Give me 1 second. I know. Maybe some of you have heard of these adverse childhood experiences or adverse community environments. And obviously, this is going to impact them on so many levels. And, we know that we have students like this in our household or in our classes. And so I just kind of wanted you to be aware of that. But anyone that's, has a score, is scoring higher with these ACEs questionnaire, usually a counselor or therapist will give this questionnaire out when you go to seek help. I'm sure maybe even the counselors here do on campus. But the higher the score, the more, traumatic events you've experienced. And then obviously that's going to affect their executive functioning skills in the classroom. So just something to be aware of, not kind of the primary focus. And then here's just some more, excuse me, impacts of stress. And if it's not, I guess basically if it's not being taught in the home, it's going to affect us as adults. And obviously it's going to affect us in our relationships, in our classrooms, and even in the workplace. And so I think a lot of the times there's not a lot of consequences for some of the, behaviors. At least we're all doing that, locking the door, and then you're getting dinged for no absence. And I bet you absences are tied to participation. And, do you guys have a department policy on absences?
No.
Okay.
But, it's a health career. Especially in ophthalmology, patients are scheduled for you. So if you show up late or you're not there or you're unreliable, then everybody that did show up gets stuck with your work.
Yep.
So, and I'm very clear with the students that nobody will have trouble finding a job, but if you want to keep one, you need to be reliable and dependable.
Are your students nurses?
They're technicians, ophthalmic technicians, so they work for an ophthalmic
So they're
surgeon.
motivated, right? They're really trying to accomplish something.
They are trying to accomplish something, but they're still, life gets in the way. Like most of my students, they are working full time, they have kids. Like Angela said, I've had students that they're taking care of their parents and their parents died and now they don't have a place to live. Or their house was on fire and they lost everything. So, my heart really goes out for these students because they really overcome a lot to get through 2 years. So I do my best to prepare them for the real world because you just can't be lackadaisical and just show up whenever you want. You have to be responsible.
Do you work in hospitals?
Hospitals, doctors' offices, universities.
Yeah. So sometimes like those natural consequences, they need to learn it now. And they've got to fail in order to kind of succeed. And I've had many students who have taken a class with me. They were withdrawn and they came back and they're like, I want a second chance. And they do great, and then sometimes they take it a second time and they're still not up to par. And I try to work with them as much as I can. But like, for instance, there's a girl, she, this is her second time taking the class. And she has not showed up for a week now. And so I need to kind of email her and be like, actually, it's 3 classes she hasn't showed up to.
Wow.
I have to be like, what's going on? Like, it's kind of that, like, end of the year slump again, after spring break. And so.
Is that it?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
No, I'm a grizzled veteran of low-level GED. Many of those students are so disabled by their horrible environment.
Home life, I know.
What they grew up in.
Yep.
Is that I racked my brains for how do
No, I think it's. Oops. Go ahead.
Oh.
My goal
Okay,
is
okay.
Go ahead, Carol. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I was just going to say, my class is like 3 hours, and I'll get them coming to the first part of the class, but then all of a sudden when it's approaching, I teach from 2 to 5, so when it's approaching time for after school, like at 3 o'clock, I have to go and pick up my sibling, okay? And then the other thing that I get a lot is that somebody has a doctor appointment and they don't speak English. So the student has to leave to be the interpreter for the doctor.
all true.
Yeah.
Well, I know. And so what
can you do when they say they have to leave to pick up their sibling.
Well, you could in your syllabus have, I'm only going to allow maybe 3 absences that are just, random kind of things. But then once it's, you're leaving for, what you just said, those circumstances, then it's unexcused and it's going to start affecting your grade. You could kind of put some clear guidelines in your syllabus. That way, I know it becomes then more on us that we're chasing down either doctor appointment, emails or, what, I don't know, whatever it is. It's really ultimately, I think what happens is them not being in the class affects their grade. We see it then in their work, right? Whether it's in their any kind of assessment, the final, etc.
Because if you miss 2 hours of a class, it's, hard for them to, particularly if it's a lab.
Oh, yeah, then, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand. All right, let's move on. So I think we're kind of all on the same page. I'm going to kind of move through these couple slides a little bit quicker, but here are some of those common challenges that we see that we've already kind of mentioned for getting those deadlines, appointments, requirements, even just maybe regulating emotions, and that, paying attention in class. And so the difference between, I want to go back, wait. So these are just common challenges, but then if we start to see things like here, where we're frequently showing up late, right? And we're frequently unprepared, like we know now this is becoming a pattern. It's not just a one-off or a two-off thing, it's becoming a pattern. And they're constantly missing assignments, they're asking for deadlines or extensions, and then maybe there's any kind of emotional outbursts or signs of overwhelm. Something's going on, whether it's, at the home, at work, relationships, etc. And so as faculty, how can we kind of support that? So we can recognize those signs and challenges. We can create a supportive and structured environment and foster that open communication and understanding. So in that core capabilities video, outlining all of the resources and telling them where they can receive those supports from day one. You know how we have to include that in our syllabus? That's obviously an obvious thing, right? But sometimes just telling them doesn't hit for them. I have in the past, and I need to get better at it, take a field trip. Let's go look at the first floor under the library and look at the academic services area. Where is the accommodative services, the CAS center? Where's the free tutoring? Kind of point that out. Show them where the counselors are. Sometimes they need that visual, and I know now it's taking out of class time, but that makes it more real and more attainable maybe for them. And then even just like saying, hey, let's chat after class. I could tell you're struggling with this. How can I help you? These are the things that I can do. Is there anything else that you recommend that has worked in the past with your students?
I had a student who suffered from anxiety, and she's, and she would maybe be there for 2 hours of class and then all of a sudden disappear. And so when I talked to her, she actually admitted what was going on. And I said, okay, you got to let me know why you're leaving.
Sure.
So that I can handle this with you. The other thing that I found out, when the students are overwhelmed, I have done something where, like some of these kids don't do 3 weeks of homework or whatever. At the very end of my course, because we have a whole semester final, I give them the option of making up homework. It's online homework, so I don't have to grade it, but I still have to put the grades in. And I like the 2 kids that were, I mean, they were failing. And by doing this, they caught up, and one got an A on the final and the other one got a B. So,
Oh, wow.
so, you know, because the homework is set up to, if they have to answer all the questions right before they get full credit. And
Okay.
so, you know, and also I've actually talked to them. I said, I can see you're bright. I mean, I watch you work in lab and you work fine, but in class, what's going on? And so that's when, you know, they have to trust you enough to tell you so that you can help them.
That's great. I've heard a lot of instructors that do that. They give like this day in class to work on any missing assignments. I haven't tried it yet. I'm not sure, you know, like it's all our own kind of personal philosophy of what we think is right and wrong. The one thing though that I did start doing in the last semester, maybe the last 2 semesters, if I noticed a student has completely bombed a test, like, you know, 15 out of 40 or something like that, I actually let them go back and retake it. And that has helped. I'll pull them aside after. I'm like, hey, what happened? Like, you know, and she'll, like, one of the students was like, I just wasn't prepared. I was focusing on my math class, and I'm like, I'll give you another shot. And usually they do better. Sometimes it's the same. But I don't know. That's like an option if you want to, you
I
know.
think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
What's the harm?
There is no harm, really, right? Because you're learning from your mistakes. So,
This is not Harvard.
yeah, exactly.
We have students who really need, I mean, I wonder what the percentage, for instance, in the adult education group, I wonder what percentage of GED students actually manage to get their GED. And I don't think it's high.
Yeah.
If they make it to GED 4, which is the highest level, most of them can do it. At levels 2 and 3, it's touch and go whether they'll
Stick it out.
stick it out at all.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Well, yeah.
Is so it's some of it's the trauma, is some of it the language though too?
Well, those courses, the GED is obviously for people who quit high school.
Sure.
They didn't graduate. And in many cases, they've been out of school for years.
Okay.
And somebody has convinced them that they should go back, their mothers, for instance. You need to go back.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to try because they have a life experience of not really trying.
Yeah.
And deciding that they're stupid. I found it very challenging.
Yeah, that's that learned helplessness that they just think that they're doomed and they can't.
So I'm a lot happier in ESL.
Okay.
Because they're motivated, especially
Sure.
at higher levels.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing that I do, if the students who didn't get an A on the test have the option of correcting the test, and I do this because I want them to see what kind of testing errors they're doing.
Okay.
And I give them 5 points extra credit. It's not a lot. So they have to write the question down, write the correct answer, write what they wrote down and why their answer was wrong or why the other answer was right, either one. And a lot of them will say, I didn't read all the choices. They didn't understand how to do the question, that both parts of the statement have to be true and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes that helps students.
Yes, doing the test corrections. And is that with like a traditional paper pencil test?
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of my tests now are all through Blackboard, so it would be hard to do, but that's a great, idea as well. I do let my classes do rewrites on any essays, so they can always increase their grade. They have a week to, look at my feedback, fix it up, add things. Hardly anyone ever takes advantage of it. I mean,
it's like you give them the opportunity.
I know.
It's like
because we learn from our mistakes. That's how you learn, right? All right, so moving on, I think these are things that you probably all know, but it's just good reminders. Here are some kind of like instructional strategies that you could kind of set up in your classes. Just offering those regular reminders. I think the next slide is a picture of my agenda that I've been using here. This is my agenda that I show at the start of every single class. So they always see these upcoming, things that are happening, what's due, where we're meeting. And then I always have kind of like an agenda for that class period. And then my goal is once, every semester I try to add something. I would love to also have just like my kind of course objectives for that class, right? Or like essential questions, something like that, learning target, all those buzzwords. But just so they know, but those are actually embedded in my lecture slides. But even if there was a good overview, it'd be nice to have it there. Even if eventually I could link it to the course level outcomes from assessment or program level outcomes, wouldn't that even be great? That'd be a great goal to work on. So here's that example there. But I think you guys kind of shared kind of some of the things that you do. Is there anything else that you use to help with any of the instruction?
We do one thing. One of your slides was they lose interest during the
Yes.
class. I don't lecture. We do everything together.
Yes.
Everything.
Okay.
We read everything. Remember, these people are trying to learn the language.
Yes.
But they're advanced. So we do a lot of reading. We do writing in class. We read what we write in class. They're actually required to revise whatever they write. I look at every word, make suggestions, they gotta fix it and give it back to you.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's what the class is
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, like I lecture maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then it is all hands-on, active participation. So it's articles about, research studies that are happening. I have them answer questions. We discuss, because that's how you learn, exactly. Anyone else?
Nobody wants to hear me talk for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I always bring something in. Whatever I'm lecturing about, I bring it in and we play around with
Yeah.
it and we do it.
Exactly.
Or like
Hands-on.
Kahoots.
Yours is a kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
hardcore
Kahoot.
academic class.
Yeah, hers is for sure.
For
Yeah.
students. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the students all know I'll bend over backwards for them, but there's rules.
Yep.
And I want them to learn it. So, I'm not opposed to giving them, unlimited attempts on a test. I don't care how you get there. I just want you to get it in your brains.
I agree.
Yep. All right, and then I think we're nearing towards the end, just like another reminder of just those classroom management strategies. So using visuals like calendars or timelines. I always kind of open up the Blackboard shell, show them like, here's the calendar, because they sometimes need to be taught like, this is how it works online in here. And I'll remind them of, this is where you turn it in. And it sounds so elementary, but they need those constant reminders. Again, I'll allow those flexible deadlines when feasible. Sometimes a kid will come in the beginning, I just couldn't get this in on time because of X, Y, Z. I'll say, fine, you can earn full points, but this is the only time I'm gonna allow this. And then it usually kind of, if they come again, I'll be like, no, I can't give you an extension, and those are the rules. So again, including any kind of organizational tools or check-ins. And then one thing I have been using when I do lecture is I use kind of this, it's called Doodle Notes. And I have like these templates that I kind of printed out, but like I've used these kind of doodle notes that kind of I'll usually take out the main parts of the lecture and I'll put those main concepts or keywords into these boxes, have it printed out, and then they're taking notes while I'm lecturing. I also, this is the first semester for my human growth and development class, I created like this little binder for note taking. It has all of the warm-up activities in there. There are these little mini quizzes and all the in-class activities that we do, and it's all in one place. And it's made my life easier, and it's made their life easier. And it's, again, tied to those participation points. If you're not in class, you don't get it. So that's kind of another tool that's been helpful. Anything else that I haven't mentioned?
I send out on Sunday what we're going to be doing for the week, what's due on what day. And I send it out so it's posted in Blackboard, but it also goes to their Triton email. But I find that some of the students never look at it.
Oh, they don't.
So they know,
They don't.
so they can plan their time because they know this is going to be due on Tuesday. This is what we're doing in class, and this is what we're doing on Thursday. And but I have trouble getting them to look at it.
Yeah, that's nice that you do that. I do that for my online classes. I never thought about doing it for face-to-face because it's kind of outlined in my syllabi.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the other day, I put something through the announcement. They don't look at it. I'm like, isn't it going to your email? No, I didn't see it in my email. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Some are trying to email them.
Oh gosh,
it's like they're tuned out for 3 months.
Exactly. So then the last kind of area, in terms of that emotional regulation, it seems like all of us are very approachable and empathetic with our students, and making sure that we're providing those resources and saying like, hey, if we notice a kid's just struggling, pull them aside. Are you okay? How can I help you? Do you want to go to the counselor? And then maybe even encouraging, any mindfulness techniques, and talk about it. Like actually one time I did say, where did we have, struggles with this part of the test? Like how did those that passed this part, how did you prepare? And we all kind of shared our, study techniques. And I feel like one time they were even talking about another class. Oh, I had that instructor. Here's how you can really do well in there if you do this, this, and this. And so just getting the kids to talk about these executive functioning skills normalizes it. And I think, we can learn from each other, because a lot of times they want to learn from each other, not always from the old instructor that's in front of the class.
My grandmother's in my class.
Aw.
So I'm very careful about that.
Oh, I love that.
A lot more older people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
You're making a difference,
The age
John.
range is from 20 is the youngest, a young woman from Argentina. Most of them are from Mexico.
Yeah.
And in some cases been here forever. But for various reasons, hardly learned the language.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do it now. So I'm very respectful when I talk to them. And I'm not about to give anybody a hard time.
Of course, yeah.
Why aren't you here on time?
I know. I get it.
So my view, this class, it's their class.
Yeah.
This class is all about, to whatever degree they're interested, improving their ability to communicate with English. And writing is the hardest part of learning a language.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's about. But I wish they would come on time.
Yeah.
So your outcomes are much, much different than.
Very different, because we're not trying for.
I'm preparing them for
exactly
a profession. So
Yeah.
I have to be like more strict, and it kills me, but.
Yeah.
Oh, what you're doing.
No, and I get it. Yeah.
But with that,
it's too different.
Yep.
Yeah, my oldest student is 73.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
She's from Venezuela. She didn't want to come here.
Yeah, why did she come here?
Oh, she wrote this beautiful job of writing about why the title was Leaving Venezuela. And she started, and her topic sentence was along the lines of, there comes a time in your life when you realize you can't go on this way, and you have to start over and reinvent yourself.
Wow.
And then she described the awful circumstances of living in Venezuela under this guy Maduro.
Yeah.
And fortunately, she had a son living here. She didn't want to go, but she couldn't
Yeah.
stand it anymore.
Wow.
How long has she been here?
She'd been here about 2 years by the time I met her.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good that she made it over.
And she could speak pretty well. She
Okay.
put a lot of effort into it.
Wow.
So I get stories. My last semester, all my students were from Ukraine.
Huh.
Well, they're here because they don't want the kids to go out
Yeah.
in a war.
Exactly.
There were moving stories of what they went through.
I can't even.
imagine.
I know.
I can't.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh. Maybe we should all go teach with John.
I know.
no, but it's not ABCD. They're not trying. I mean, I help them get scholarships.
Yeah.
Those who want to. Glad to.
Well, those ESL scholarships, don't they get a lot of the Westlake?
Yeah,
Westlake
they
scholarship?
do. Those
Yeah.
who, if they're good students, I say I want you to try for a scholarship, and I'm going to help you get one.
Yeah.
The requirement is that you come to class and you do your work as best you can, and I'll go all out to help you get this scholarship.
That's
Because
great.
I have to write a little essay
Uh-huh.
on their behalf. So that's my best incentive for getting them to come
Yeah.
to class and try hard. And the younger ones want to do that.
Good.
I had, in my last class from Ukraine, one had a PhD from
Wow.
Ukraine.
Wow. But it doesn't
Another one
transfer
was an
over here.
archaeologist. She says it's very
Well, and they don't
different.
have this English skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we don't have to go through this,
I'm
but
sorry, I
no,
should-
you're totally fine. I love hearing about it. It's wonderful. So hopefully now you have a better understanding of, executive functioning skills, how you can support your students in the classroom. And then, is there something, why don't we just focus on number 3, because we're just such a small group. What is one thing that maybe you could start implementing either tomorrow or next week? Anything that you learned from any of our peers here or colleagues?
I'd like to say pay more attention, but I mean, I already sort of do that. But
Sure.
now I think I have a more heightened awareness. But I'm usually stalking the students anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not stalking them, but if they miss a class, I'm like, hey, are you okay? We missed you today. What's going on?
Yes. Yeah. No, I do
So-
that too. Yeah.
When I'm in a unique situation, I see them for 5 semesters, so I get to know them. And
That's
if they're
true.
a little off,
4 or 5 semesters.
Yeah.
So if they're a little off, I can sort of tell, and I'll reach out to them. But this has been really, it's been really interesting.
Yeah.
Just with like the executive.
Your class is pretty technical, right?
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Well, and maybe the easiest thing you could do is just, print out this questionnaire, give it to your students.
No,
I'm embarrassed I didn't even do it. I'm
you
teaching
didn't
this
do it?
class. I haven't even done it. I need to do it. Like, how funny is that? So give them this questionnaire. I give you a copy.
Yeah.
And then have them, target the areas they need to work on and, come up with kind of ideas together as a class even. So, all right, I think that's it. So,
Thank you.
yeah, Laura will share the PowerPoint with all of you, the resources. Our sources are in there from where I got everything. And thank you for joining us today.
I really apologize.